Hi guys, Thomas here, and today we're going to look at In the Wee Wee Hours by Chuck Berry. It's a really cool slow blues that uses a lot of the Chuck Berry isms that we've looked at in the Chuck Berry course. So when you're ready, pick up your guitar and let's get going. So we've got a slow blues in the key of G. We're going to look at the typical rhythm things that Chuck's playing. There are two guitars, so we're going to really think about the ideas that Chuck is using here, more so than the exact placement, because the thing is with Chuck, he doesn't do the same thing twice. There's at no point will he play this song the same way both times. So it's more beneficial to look at his shapes and his ideas than worry about getting everything in the song the exact same way that he does. So we're going to start with the intro. It's a good place to start with. And we've got this typical kind of descending blues. Really cool, really groovy. So what we're doing here in the key of G, like we said before, so in this, we're kind of starting with the turnaround, and this blues cliche, really, we're using our index on the third of the high E, and then descending chromatically from the 6 down to the 3. 2 plucks each, doing down strums, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3 with that swing rhythm, always holding that 3 on the high E string and just doing both of these strings, B and E, each time together. That last one, I'm hitting and stopping right away. And then we've got this little slide from 5 to 7 on the E, up to 5 in the A, and then hitting this D7 in a C shape, okay? Typical cage chord shape. This is from the A string, 5, 4, 5, 3. So the whole intro. And again, when I do this up to the D, I'm stopping with staccato, and then the chord. Funny enough, on the track, I think the bass plays a low D at the same time. When I was listening to it, I thought, there's no way Chuck Berry's detuned to drop D. I'm pretty sure it's just him and the bass player playing at the same time, but that one fooled me. Then the bass does this nice kind of blues cliche semitone into the root. Okay, so the main rhythm pattern is going to be a Chuck Berry special. It's going to be your shuffle. So he's really just doing this across each of the root notes for the chords. And again, if you want to look at really in-depth this, it's in the Chuck Berry course. Go check that out. But what we're doing is a 1, 4, 5, a typical blues progression. Now this is a slow blues, so there's some cliches to take away from here. Slow blues, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Very, very often in the slow blues, we're going to do what's called a quick change. So if we picture what the 12-bar blues looks like, by standard, it's kind of 4 bars of the 1, 2 bars of the 4, 2 bars of the 1, and then the turnaround 5, 4, 1, and then something that's often very mixed at the end. But a quick change is when the second bar, to break it up because it's such a long time on the same chord, the quick change is going to come the second bar, we're going to go to the 4. So now the first 4 bars of the form is going to look like, in this case, G, then C, then G, then G, rather than 4 Gs. Now, our root notes for these chords are going to be 3rd fret of the E for the G. This is the 1 chord. Then for the 4 chord, we've got the 3rd fret on the A string. This is the C. Anytime we're playing the 4 chord or the C, we're here. And then back to the 1. And then we've got our 5. We're doing 2 bars of the 5 in this version of blues. And the 5 is on the 5th fret of the A string. That's a D in this key. Back to the 1. So then the turnaround we're doing here is actually half bars. So half of the G to the C to the G to the D, and then back round. So the form in total, let's do one time round of what the typical rhythm guitar is going to be doing here. So we're going from our first chord to 3, 4, 1. Up to the 4 with a quick change. Then 2 bars of the 1. Up to the 4. 1 more. Back to the 1. Okay, heading to the 5. Another bar. And then our half bars. To the 4. 1, 5. So there's the absolute bog standard rhythm that he's playing across this. And that, because it's the blues, it's that structure looped over and over. There's another guitar, we'll get to there just in a sec. There's one extra little thing to add here. And again, we're not going to worry exactly where he puts it. That's up to you guys to decide, because that's how Chuck does it. He just does it based on a feeling, not it happens on the 3rd bar or anything like that. And that's a chromatic approach. Right? Chromatic approach from 3 frets below whatever root note he's got. So here's our root note for a 1, 3 frets below, 1, 2, 3. He's just going 0, 1, 2, in. And then when he wants to go up to the 4, 0, 1, 2, into the 3, 0, 1, 2, da, 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 da. So if you want to put that in, it's just about the rhythm of where that comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So just triplets from the 4th beat. 1, 2, 3, 10. And if you want, you can put it under the 5. So there's one little trick that's happening occasionally in there. Listen out for it, you'll hear it. When it comes to playing and taking that away and into other blues, just think about where that needs to happen rhythmically for you to get into the chord. Don't worry about in the song specifically where it happens. Okay, so then there's another kind of supporting rhythm guitar in the background, which is just interspersing these like little kind of chord licks, very cliche blues chord licks, what are now cliche blues chord licks, but of course they became a cliche because of things like this. And again, we're going to look at what it is, not where it is. We don't need to worry about exactly where he's playing at. So the first one is over the G. So over your 1 in the E position, or on the E string, he's got this. So what is that? That is 3 on the D, 2 on the G, 3 on the B, and then sliding it up 2 frets and sliding it back down, just with 1 pluck. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, it's happening on the 4th beat. So rhythmically, your placement of that is going to be 4. And when you get good at it, you can start manipulating the rhythm, and maybe it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Something like that. But that's the idea. So that's anytime you're doing a blues, this kind of shuffle pattern of your blues, and you know your root notes on the E string, right? That shape, if you can think about where that shape is in relationship to the root, that's going to work always. If we move it up here, it's going to work great here. So that's your E shape. Then he's also going to do it across the A shape. So where your root note's in the A string, and now it looks like this. Right? So it's just the 3rd frets on the G, B, E, up 2 frets, and sliding back. So the same idea just over here. And again, that's on beat 4. Don't worry about where he plays in the song. That's a feeling thing. Just feel where you want that extra space to be filled. 2, 3, 4. So great little lick if you're playing supporting guitar to someone doing a main rhythm. So that means then if we want to transfer this over to the 5, it's just in line with where your index finger is, and the 5 being on the A string. So now there is one little thing that he does pretty consistently in the song, and that is on those fast changes and the turnaround at the end. And that turnaround is he'll do it for each of the chords, but almost like anticipating the chord change. So whilst he's doing the G, just at the end, he's going to do the C one or the 4-1, 1, 2, into the 4. And I'm going to give you a little loop here just to show you that. So I've got my loop set up just to show you his placement here where he's anticipating the chord change. Another thing to take away from this. So he's going to come before the chord changes, right? So even though this chord's going to start on G, I'm going to do the one for the 4 to lead into that. So 1, 2. Into the 4, into the 1. So there's one little thing to take away from this as well. Right, so that's all the rhythm parts. And occasionally there's little licks in there as well. So one of those other little licks is on the 1, because all this stuff relates to the harmony. On the 1 chord he's doing this kind of cool idea where he's sliding into the 4 on the G, then up to the 3 on the E, and then sliding that back. And then one other little lick is. So all just relating to the scales. Again, that's on the 1. So that's sliding into the 12, hitting the 10 on the E, and then sliding just off. Now, that is the second guitar recording. The first guitar is just keeping doing this, but it's little ideas to take away so you can play with anyone that you're jamming with, just where these little licks are. Okay, so those are all the little rhythm parts and supporting ideas, licks and tricks that you can take away. Now let's look at the solo. It's a little bit funny because both the piano and the guitar are taking a little solo on top of each other, but the piano is much more prominent in the recording. Now again, with Chuck Berry, a lot of the time it doesn't make huge sense to try to do the solo exactly the way he did it, because he'll never do that solo the same way again. Again, it's best to think about what the ideas are. Now, because it's a slow blues, he's playing relatively slow, it's not too hard to do that in this one, to play it how he is. Again, though, we're going to focus on the ideas behind what he's playing. I think there's much more educational value in that, but we'll play close to it when we can. So we're starting with this little lick. Right, so he's really like fussing around or improvising around with these double stop ideas, again, very prevalent in our Chuck Berry course. So scale-wise, he's thinking about the G minor pentatonic here, overlaying these chords that we're playing. Right, so what he's doing, we've got a funny note here. Again, we go into more of this in the course, but he's going 5 and 5 in the G and B. And because he's doing a little bend there, he's using 2 fingers, third and pinky. And then his index to do 3 and 3 on the G and B. And a little like quarter bend. Before going down to the 5 on the D. And then hitting it again, twice there on the D. Before kind of reversing and going 3, 3, 5, 5. Again, with a slight pull on the 3. So. And then D again. And a hammer on. And a pull off with the double stop. Now I'm doing it with my third finger. Classic kind of idea. Hit the D string, 3, 3, hammer to 5, 5, pull off to the 3, 3, back to the 5, back to the 3, 3. So only really these 3 notes. I mean, the double stop, and 5 on the D. And he's created a great phrase out of that. Okay, and then he basically repeats the start. The same bends, 5, 5, 3, 3. And then a slight variation. Really like a rhythmic variation. 5, 5, 3, 3, down to the 5 and the D, and then repeat. So one clean idea, messing with these kind of 3 groups of notes, and just seeing what phrases he can think up. So again, see what you can come up with in terms of your phrasing. He follows that up with this idea. Okay, again, we're not going to fret about how long he does it. It's such a feeling thing, but the idea is he's got 5 on the B and 6 on the E. Then goes off to 3, 3 on the E and B, 5, 5, back to the 3 and 3 as like a resolution. And just before that, he just does this double 3, 3, and he's doing little bends on these 5 and 6 as well, just small. After that, after he's finished with that idea, he kind of goes back to what he started with, these double stops, before jumping all the way up to the 10 on the E and the 11 on the B. And doing this little kind of semitone bend on the B whilst keeping the E there. And separating those notes out. So after this delicate little bend, he does a slide off, and then his next little lick is, again, pretty similar to what he started with, bending that 5 in the G, off, with a pull off to the 3, down to 5 in the D. And then like a double stop on the 5, on the 3, 3, G and B, with a hammer pull off from the 5, down to the 5, and up to the 3. Typical sort of pentatonic bluesy stuff. Then the next phrase goes something like this. Another typical sort of pentatonic blues lick, bending that top note. Not quite a full bend, sort of like a half bend. So 6 on the E, down to 3 on the E, down to 3 on the B with a finger roll. Back up to 6 on the B with a bend. Up to 3 on the E. Then he hits this little double stop. Again on the 3 of the G and B. So you can hear how they're just basically like these small little licks or phrases kind of stringing together. So following that phrase comes this. You hear the repetitions in there. So again, back in this sort of area, we're going 5, 3, 5 on the G, then the D, and then repeating it. And we can always put double stops in there. It's pretty Chuck Berry. Either one of those is good. For this quick little bend on the 6 and the E, and stopping at the very top, he leaves a bit of space, and then he repeats this phrase. With a bend this time, just a slight variation on the phrase. Bend 5 of the G, off to 3, down to the 5 of the D, and then the same thing, 5, 3, with a very slight little bend, off to 5 on the D. So there's all the phrases, and this solo really is more just about little phrases being put together. It's not some kind of overarching melody. And again, it's great to look at those phrases and take what you can, copy them, try and move them into different keys so you can really get where they are in the position. And then just see if you can advance them or move them into something that you like more. It's all about just taking these ideas that Chuck does in his improvising, and really about the feeling and the groove of it more so than any kind of big elongated licks. You know, it's all a little bit disjointed, but that's sort of the style. It's just these little licks moved around. So guys, that's all the parts that we need to know for this song in the wee wee hours. Great slow blues track, lots of classic, what are now cliches, but you can see where they're coming from. Get those under your fingers, experiment with their placements. You can basically rearrange the order of the solo, for instance. It's just these little fills that you can think about. Take them into your own playing, as well as the ideas in the supporting parts for the kind of classic shuffle stuff. That's been it for me, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.